VGRT Gaming Podcast, episode 773, recorded on February 4th, 2026.
Welcome to the 773rd edition of the TD Gaming Podcast and 606th episode of Video Game Roundtable. I am TJ Dinzer.
I am Scott Durr.
And I am Jonah Falcon.
The VGRT Gaming Podcast focuses on game news from around the industry and a gaming flashback.
So, TJ, what have you been playing?
So, this week I just finished reviewing Nioh 3. It's the third. What's up?
Has it come out yet?
It comes out this Friday, I do believe. Very good game. I still think it's probably one of the best Souls-like games that's not a From Software game, and maybe even some better than some of the From Software games. Their combat is really ace. Like, remember that this is the group that also does Ninja Gaiden, and so one of the things they did with this particular game is that Nioh 1 and 2 were very mission based. Like, you picked a scenario and you went and did it, and then when you finished, killed the boss, that's the end of the level. Nioh 3 is an open world game, and it's very beautiful, but it's also like it does something to the pacing, I think. You know, you have like this element where you kind of meander around everywhere, and there's something around every corner. But also the main mission is like miles away from where you start, and it takes a lot of killing and grinding to get there. And I think that like makes it feel a little less focused than previous Nioh games. But the countryside and like the mythological elements that are like in it, I think it makes for a better and more compelling open world than the previous open world game that Koei Tecmo did, which was Rise of the Ronin. And I still like that game, but it was like, I thought its open world was a little bit boring comparatively. It's beautiful, but it's like a little boring. Nioh's great. I wish they didn't keep their stupid inventory system, because every time you kill an enemy, like 2 to 5 pieces of gear pop out of them, and you just, every 30 minutes, you're at a save point with like 100 pieces of gear sifting through what you need and what you don't. And you have to figure out like how much of it you just have to bulk recycle. And
yeah, that reminds me of Skyrim.
Yeah. I hate that. It's annoying.
Same here.
And Nioh...
Diablo.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it in a game like Borderlands and Diablo, but Nioh is a Souls-like. And I hate sitting there for minutes at a time just trying to sift through countless pieces of gear that do 1 damage more than the one I had before and maybe have 1 appealing stat. It bothers me. And in Nioh 3, they made it worse because now you have 2 different styles of combat on the same character, and they have 2 different sets of gear. So guess what? If you want to play both styles, you got to sift through 2 sets of gear and figure out what fits your character. It's a drag on an otherwise pretty great game. Nioh 3 is a pretty great open world action RPG with some bloated ass inventory to it. And that's my bottom line on it.
How about you, Scott? What have you been playing?
I've been playing Trials Beyond Horizon, so I'm still playing that game. It's pretty lengthy. I've been having fun with that.
You know what's funny is that you keep on playing the Trials games and you say, well, it's pretty lengthy, and yet you burn through them like nothing else.
I mean, I guess I just play that game until I'm done with it and able to just focus on it.
So I've been playing a game that's been out since March, but it's on Game Pass. It's called Drop Dookie. Drop Dutchie, actually.
Oh, I was like, what?
Drop Dutchie is a combat Tetris game, sort of, kind of. So what happens is that...
is it turn-based?
No, it's Tetris. What happens is that you accumulate buildings and other stuff and powers, and they drop down in Tetris shapes into the well, and the way they drop in depends on what they do. You drop down terrain, and sometimes buildings can change the terrain. Like there's one terrain that cuts down trees and turns it into plains. There's another terrain that turns plains into farmland. There's one kind of terrain for a specific type of faction, which is called the downtown. It turns terrains and forests into housing. And you also have the enemy dropping in. You have to make sure that you drop it in so that it maximizes for you. Maximizes everything for you and minimizes because then you have to fight them. It's rock, paper, scissors with the kind of enemies, soldiers you have. It's hella addicting. I've been playing it nonstop. And it's been out since March. This one is a complete edition. I've unlocked all the factions. I haven't played with the 5th faction yet. And it's really, you got to try it out. I've also been playing a lot of Clover Pit, which is the slot machine game. I've actually beaten it, so now I'm trying to beat it on the special mode. Basically, you do a lot of slot machines, but you get modifiers so that it, Balatro has a lot to answer for. That's all I'm going to say. Ever since Balatro made it big, people have been saying, how can we gamify things like poker?
That's really sad that's what the mentality is. Instead of trying to do something different, people just mimic the latest trend.
Well, here's the thing. You have good mimics, okay? And I play a lot more Clover Pit than I do Balatro.
I will say this, I agree with that. I've seen Clover Pit enough to know that it does have some interesting variations on that, whereas I've seen other versions of Balatro that they're not the same at all. They don't fit, the style doesn't fit. At least Clover Pit has kind of that conceit of it's still a slot machine, and when you hit all the lines on the slot machine, it goes crazy and is kind of a stimulus overload.
So there's just so much strategy you can do.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is try and increase the luck or try and get combos.
Yeah, and power up certain symbols so that when they hit big.
But the thing is that you're still at the mercy of the game, right? You really have to figure out a way to manipulate the slot machine enough so that you can endure a lot of the misses or a lot of the cheap ones and get those big ones. The one I showed you was I had one modifier, a mutator, which is a horse, which is sometime in this run, because you get runs of 7 pulls, you will get a jackpot, but you don't know what kind of jackpot you'll get. In this case, I got the jackpot of 7s. But the reason for that is that I made it so that the 7s come up more often. They have a modifier in which every time there's a symbol, a pattern with a 7 in it, with a special kind of 7, increases the value. Elatra's kind of the same because, you can get far, you can win, but you're not going to get the really high scores without some luck or without getting some joker combinations.
Yeah, you are beholden to certain things happening at certain points of the game. There are jokers that if you don't get them early, they're basically useless.
Or there are jokers that, there's the special hearts one. There's one joker that, gives you a multiplier every time there's a hearts on the screen. But there's a higher level version of that one in which it increases the multiplier, not the chips. And if you get the joker that says probability of the card is reduced by 1. So if something's one chance out of 3, it's 1 chance out of 2. If it's 1 chance out of 2, it's automatic. If you can get that and the hearts and the joker that says, I'm whatever card that's to my right, so it doubles it. That's the only way I was able to get into the millions, was having that combination. And also doing it so that I always had a flush. But Clover Pit, there's a lot less agency that you have, and you really have to luck out to get the mutators that will help you the most. There was another one that I tried. It was on Steam. I'm trying to remember what kind of game it was. It wasn't not poker. I think it was blackjack. They have a blackjack version of Balatro. I forgot what it was.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I looked it over pretty closely, the blackjack one, and it doesn't seem
the demo. It was okay.
Yeah.
I've also been playing a lot of City Skylines too, and it's funny they still don't have the console version out yet. And I've now started playing with free money because here's the thing: even if you play with free money, it doesn't mean your city's going to work. Your city can crash and burn because there's nothing that's going to stop the traffic. There's nothing going to stop the systems from breaking down. All it means is that you're not paying for anything, right? But you can still screw up. I play on regular, but sometimes I just want to play with no money hassling. So, anyways, we're not going to have a long podcast tonight. There's not much going on. Well, there is stuff going on, but it's boring. So we're going to go straight to the gaming flashback. Take it away, TJ.
Okay. Dead by Daylight is this week's gaming flashback. Dead by Daylight is an online asymmetric multiplayer survival horror game developed and published by Canadian studio Behavior Interactive. It's a 1 versus 4 game in which one player takes on the role of a killer and the other 4 players take on the role of survivors. The killer must hunt and impale each survivor on sacrificial hooks to appease a malevolent force known as the Entity, while the survivors have to avoid being caught by powering up generators and getting exit gates working together. The game features crossovers with many different horror films, television series, and video games.
Oh boy, does it.
Yep. It's kind of become a gallery of like popular horror. In fact,
sometimes they just do a person, like they had one just for Nicolas Cage. Nothing, no movies or anything, just Nicolas Cage.
Yes. And then the game was originally released in Windows in 2016, but it is since released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, Google Stadia, PS5, Xbox Series XS, and an iOS version and Android version are developed by NetEase, was available from 2020 to 2025. Swedish studio Starbreeze Studios published the game on behalf of Behavior Interactive from 2016 until 2018, when Behavior Interactive bought the publishing rights. The game
By
was
the way,
initially...
for those who don't know who Starbreeze is, they're the ones behind, oh god, I forget, that bank robbery game.
Payday. They're people went back to playing Payday 2 and completely stopped playing Payday 3. Yeah, so when the game was initially released on Unreal Engine 4 until it upgraded to Unreal Engine 5 in 2024. In 2023, it was announced that production companies Blumhouse Productions and Atomic Monster had started developing a film adaptation.
Of course it's Blumhouse.
Yeah. Spin-offs of the game include Hooked on You, a Dead by Daylight dating sim, which is just weird, and What the Fog, the casting of Frank Stone, which was a game done by the people who did Until Dawn.
Supermassive, yep.
And an unnamed Project T game, a board game, and a comic book series.
Yeah, so this is an unusual gaming flashback in which the game from 10 years ago is still very much active now.
Yep. This game is so active that they actually have crossover content where their content actually ended up in Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows earlier in 2025.
Yeah, there's more crossovers here than they do have in Fortnite.
But that's a thing that like we've talked to at Shack News. We've talked to Matthew Coate, the game's director, quite a few times, and he really does lean into the idea that Dead by Daylight is kind of become a gallery of popular horror. They love those crossovers, and they love doing their own original content too, because it allows them to flex their chops and try new things.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's not always licensed killers that are there. Sometimes they invent their own.
Yep, they've done a lot of original characters and killers over the years, and some of them are really cool. They made one that is straight up just supposed to be like the concept of the monster in your closet, and it's just this amorphous blob that takes on like basically fear entities as it chases you. And I've always dug how creative they are, but like it's also interesting to talk to them about the license stuff, because they do have to work within restrictions when they make those killers. They are beholden to like the restrictions, the concepts, and the visions of whoever has the license for that killer.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a story now.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to one of the developers. I don't remember who it was. It was an European guy. And this was at E3, and before it was released. And he said, I asked him, oh, do you ever consider VR for the game? And he said, yeah, we did. And it was so frightening that we couldn't use it.
Yeah, I can see that, because when you get caught by killers in this game, it is
intense.
It's the tension. When a killer is coming near you, the game like tenses you up. It has these heartbeat sound effects. You feel vibrations in the controller, and then when they catch you, it's a jump scare in of itself. And then there's the thrill of running for your life. I think it's probably the best asynchronous multiplayer.
Now picture that in VR.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they could have, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting is that, and Scott will know this, Phasmophobia is still in beta.
Yes.
Still in early access. I thought it was done, but it's not.
They're trying for 1.0 this year, is what they just released a roadmap recently. Yeah. Dead by Daylight is also interesting because of these licenses. We've seen content leave the game sometimes. The Stranger Things content was actually pulled from the shop and unplayable for a while because the license ran out on them working with Netflix. And that was like the one time that's happened, but the fact that it happened once kind of has people nervous sometimes. Thankfully, most of their other partners seem to be cooler, and they've actually adjusted their process to make sure that licenses don't run out now.
And then we have the sad story of Friday the 13th game.
Yeah.
They recovered. But the thing is that, I think it's Sean Cunningham, and someone else. They have this tug of war of who owns Friday the 13th license. Developers got caught in the middle of that.
The director of Dead by Daylight once told us straight up that, like, there's no such thing as a permanent license because lawyers hate that idea.
The only way to have it is on physical media, which is why if you have the cartridge of a game or a disc of a game, there's really nothing they can do about it.
Pretty much. But what a long-standing game. And it just continues to get more stuff. Like, where other games like this have just died out en masse over time, Dead by Daylight is still kicking and going reasonably strong.
So the guys who did the Friday the 13th game, I believe they bought the license to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know what happened to that game.
It played for a while, but I think they stopped support for it maybe a couple of years later. Like, did some final killers and final players and one more map and then called it.
Yeah. Still makes me feel sad for Evolve. Evolve tried this, they failed.
Yeah. I sure did like those characters. I wish they would have another chance.
Actually, I would rather... Well, here's the thing. They also did Back for Blood, so I don't know if Turtle Rock could have made a good Left 4 Dead 3. They would have to have been left alone or not try to gamify it or, turn it into a live service.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played Left 4 Dead 1 or 2 in a very long while.
Its director just came back to video games and is getting ready to do something new.
We're going to move on to quick news. First off, the big thing that happened today, Blizzard unveiled a major Overwatch 2 revamp, and they're renaming it just to Overwatch. And they're expanding. They have a huge expansion plan. They have several new characters. I'm not really all that knowledgeable at Overwatch, but I was wondering if you were covering it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. I've heard from my colleagues that Overwatch, gameplay-wise, is probably in the best state it's ever been, but they've killed so much goodwill with it by mismanaging it through this whole Overwatch 2 thing that it's... I don't know if it's good enough anymore. Like, I don't know what you do, like, to get people interested in again.
Well, here's the thing. It's such a revamp that they're calling it Season 1, not Season 21.
That's, I don't think it's ever going to hit the heights that it did before. I think that that ship has kind of sailed with this whole Overwatch 2 thing. I think it's obviously Overwatch is a decent game. It has the energy to keep players locked in, but there's a lot of competition out there now. Marvel Rivals is, for a lot of people, the better option.
They're having a Hello Kitty collaboration.
That's a fun one.
And if you're wondering, well, guess what? There's a Hello Kitty movie coming out this year.
Oh,
why?
boy.
And the thing is, here's the problem with Hello Kitty. How do you make a movie around Hello Kitty? Damn thing doesn't speak. Doesn't even have a mouth.
There was a cartoon show where Hello Kitty has this whole, like, play thing, and she does different stories, so you can have her talk. There's
yeah, so you're going to have skins for Hello Kitty. Juno will be Hello Kitty. Kariko will be Cinema Roll. Mercy will be Pom Pom Purin. EVA will be My Melody. Widowmaker will be Kuromi. Lucio will be Karapi. Anyways, yeah, they have 5 new characters coming, 10 new characters, and 5 of them are coming out next week. So yeah, they're trying to recover the blunder they did with Overwatch 2. And the thing about Overwatch 2 was that, wasn't it people wanted a single player mode for that? It was a PvE. They wanted a PvE mode, which is a co-op mode, and they just didn't come through with it. That's what upset people, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I don't play Overwatch. I don't play looter shooters. I don't play hero shooters either. So anyways, Pokemon will kick off its 30th anniversary celebration with Jigglypuff, and it's going to be at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. What an interesting thing. Like, we're on the 30... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't think a whole lot of football fans are into Pokemon, but I guess...
that's so not true.
What?
I have a what's it called, something to say, because we have another item. So when we're going to get to it, I'm going to talk about it. But no, there are plenty of Jigglypuff fans. Super Bowl fans and football fans and Pokemon are not mutually exclusive, especially for a certain age.
I guess that's true. It is like a millions of fans people. I like football and I like Pokemon.
But Jigglypuff is an interesting thing. It's sort of like instead of having Mario, you have Kirby doing the thing. We all know that Jigglypuff makes for a better plush toy because it's round. Is that Jigglypuff on your T-shirt there, TJ?
No, it's not.
Pink.
It's Samus.
Oh, okay. It's pink. That's why I thought.
But it's very stylized.
Another news item. 7 years after it's pulled from Steam, Pokémon in the inventory is coming back in March. Now, this never affected me because I own 1 and 2. But it's nice to see Pokémon, some new people coming to see what Pokémon is. Of course, the thing that most people care about is that it's going to reopen those bonuses for Team Fortress 2. I unlocked some stuff for Team Fortress 2, but I never really played Team Fortress. I haven't played Team Fortress 2 in like how long? I have to check my Steam thing. I know it's been at least 15 years since I last played, or maybe 10 years since I last played Team Fortress 2. Have you ever played Poker Night?
I have. I almost thought it was a fever dream for a bit because I remember the second game in which Brock Sampson, GLaDOS, Sam from Sam and Max.
I'm a Trap.
And Claptrap, yeah.
And yeah. But here's the thing. The ones who were in the first one were the heavy guy, Strong Bad, not Max, our favorite Lagomorph.
Sam.
Max. No,
Max. Max, yeah.
Sam was in the second one. And Gabe Tycho from Penny Arcade. And the thing is, in the second one, they brought in Sam as a player, but they didn't get rid of Max. Max is there all over the place.
Yeah, that game was so weird.
This had a play time of 55 minutes in Team Fortress 2, but I have 27 achievements. That can't be right. Something screwed up there. They also don't show when I last played. Like I said, it had to have been a long time. I think maybe I think when it went free to play, it must have reset my play time because I got it as a part of the orange box. But yeah, sometimes I play the first one simply because I like listening to Strong Bad.
Yeah, that's the one I was trying to think of. I knew I was forgetting one that was like weird but also fun.
What, Tycho?
No, Strong Bad.
Oh yeah, Strong Bad. Yeah, I said Strong Bad.
Right.
I hope they have someone else from Homestar Runner if they do Poker Night 3. Let's see Homestar playing. He's such a goofball that he would be sort of like Max, except a little bit more sane. Not much more sane, but sane. Poker Night 2 is where you could also change the table, the cards, and all that stuff. And if you changed all of them to a certain thing, it would the entire setting would switch to that, to that thing. So if like you did Sam and Max, the entire thing would become black and white, and it would be their 10th anniversary set. Oh yeah, and here's an interesting thing. You had Ash from Army of Darkness in the second one, and the guy who does his voice was in Birdemic. He played Rod's best friend in Birdemic. He also composed for some TV shows. So you have the guy from Birdemic doing a spot-on imitation of Ash, because he really does sound a lot like God, my brain is
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell. He sounds exactly like Bruce Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Just like oh God, now my brain is. Oh yeah, Troy Baker sounds exactly like Harrison Ford. Moving on, I'm not going to really say anything until I'm happy with. Eric Barone says of Haunted Chocolatier will be out when it's good and ready, even if that takes years and years. Oh, fuck you, Concerned Ape.
He is working on update 1.7 for
1.7. Doesn't that mean it's released?
No. He's working on update 1.7 for Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley, yeah.
Yes, in which he intends to reveal 2 new marriage candidates. There's not enough stuff in Stardew Valley, y'all. He has to put more in.
Not.
That's what an interesting thing. You would maybe expect that maybe he wants to work on the new, like get the new thing that he's been working on out the door instead of just
I guess he just can't leave Stardew alone.
Because like he's made the money on Stardew.
He's made him a crap ton of money, so
that guy is like, yeah, but it's not completely perfect.
No, it's not that it's not perfect. It's just that he wants more.
It could be perfecter, says Eric Barone.
No, not perfect, just more. Sometimes people say less is more. He says, no, more is more.
Yep.
Have you considered more content?
You got to keep those people up. Keep in mind, he wouldn't be doing this, but if people didn't just keep playing Stardew Valley, I want to see some big fans of Stardew Valley and just see the number of hours they've plunked on it, you know?
There are probably players out there that are like on their 5th playthrough of Stardew Valley thinking to themselves, oh my god, another marriage character? I have to start over and get a new one ready.
Oh, like they need motivation. So yeah, actually, that could be my next gaming flashback since Stardew Valley was released almost 10 years ago to the day. It was released on February 26, 2016.
Wow.
So it's coming on its 10-year anniversary.
See, if anybody's labor of love, it's Eric Brown with this
Barone.
Stardew.
Barone, not Brown.
Barone, sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, when did No Man's Sky was released? It's sort of like, see, there's a difference though. Stardew Valley keeps on getting updates because Eric Barone can't help but keep updating it. But Hello Games, they fixed it, and then they kept fixing it, and they kept fixing it, and then fixing it, and 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 keeps fixing it. And oh, by the way, No Man's Sky was released in 2016 too. So yeah, both those games have been hammered to death by their creators. And I can't even think of what Hello Games is doing right now.
They're making that Earth one now, that giant planet that has different biomes or whatever.
It's going to come out in 2035, I'm sure.
Yeah. It'll probably need lots of fixing too.
Yeah, they're going to spend another 10 years fixing that game. And the problem is, I'm glad they're working on a new game because a lot of the core elements of No Man's Sky are still boring to me, no matter how much they fix it, Sometimes you got to knock it down and build it up again, so I'm glad they're doing this and focusing on one world instead of thousands and thousands of the same world, just with different colors. You could stay on the same world that it's not going to be much different.
Yeah.
Except instead of radiation, it's cold or heat or acid.
That was like one of the things about the original game that was one of the biggest qualms about No Man's Sky that people had was that it's just like, there's plenty to do, but it's still a procedurally generated game in which you're going to see the same things in different places.
Anyways, moving on, we're going to talk about move to gaming news. Nintendo Partner Direct announced from Eurogamer. Nintendo's announced the Direct Showcase later this week. This Direct will focus on third-party releases, the company has said. As for the when and where, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube February 5th at 2 p.m. UK time, which is 10 o'clock a.m. for us in New York. The live stream presentation will feature roughly 30 minutes of upcoming Nintendo 2 and Nintendo Switch games from publishing and developing partners. Nintendo said of tomorrow's Direct. The speculated games that everybody assumes is going to be because they've been talking about it so much is the Switch version of Elden Ring, Tarnished Edition, Duskblood, which is also Elden Ring, except the hero shooter version of it, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
I'm kind of hoping to see something about Dragon's Quest 12, but I guess that might be too much to hope for.
It's only 30 minutes, though, so you're not going to see that much of stuff. Of all the games, I'm pretty sure it's going to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle will definitely be there because Microsoft wants more money from it. Also, it's a great game.
I was also hearing that maybe there might be some Xenoblade news, which I don't know if Xenoblade is considered to be first party or not since it's Monolith Soft, and Monolith Soft...
Xenoblade Chronicles is on multi-platform.
Xenoblade Chronicles? I don't think that's right.
What am I thinking of then?
Maybe Xenosaga? I don't know.
Yeah, Xenoblade Saga.
Either way,
Xenoblade Chronicles, yeah, that's multi-platform.
Xenoblade Chronicles, I don't think is. I mean, I think Xenoblade Chronicles is specifically Nintendo Switch, because I've never seen that.
I'm thinking of something else then because
I'm almost certain you're thinking of like Xenosaga, which came before Xenoblade.
No, it's the one in which people are the. I don't think it's Xenosaga though. I think it's something else.
Either way, I was hearing...
Wait, which is the one that has the personified version of consoles?
Personified version of consoles? I don't know.
Yeah, there's one game, which is Xeno something. A video game that's personification.
Either way, the main thing is that I was seeing that Xenoblade might have some news tomorrow. I'm not sure that if Xenoblade is considered first party or third party. I guess they would be considered a Nintendo partner, so that's exciting. I like the Xenoblade series.
Yeah. This one in which you get a big gold robot, isn't it?
I'm not sure. Dustbloods should. I expect that we should see Dustbloods too. That should be interesting to see. I heard that they were having issues getting Elden Ring to play nice on the Switch too. So we'll see what happens with that.
Xenoblade is the one that's owned by Nintendo, published by Nintendo.
It's published by Nintendo. It's developed by Monolith Soft.
Yeah.
But there's been like 3 different Xeno series throughout the history that are loosely connected to each other. Xenogears was the first one. Xenosaga came after, but that was Bandai Namco. And then Xenoblade Chronicles is Monolith Soft.
Oh, Hyperdimension Neptunia is the one that has the personification of PCs and consoles.
That's very different from Xenoblade.
No, but there's another game that begins with Xeno that I know is multi-platform, and it's not Xeno Crisis.
I don't know. I can't think of anything related to Xenoblade that is multi-platform.
Anyways, so yeah. Why did you think there was going to be Dragon Quest 12, Scott?
Oh, it's just been a long time since we've heard anything, so I figure sooner or later they have to have an announcement for it, and Nintendo Direct seems like a good place to do that.
That would be a mind-blowing announcement if they suddenly came out of the woodwork saying it would be coming to Switch 2. I think a lot of people would lose their minds.
Yeah, they would.
They'd really lose their minds if they said it was a console exclusive.
And it won't be.
That absolutely won't happen because it's already. I think they already said PC and PS5 when they teased it.
A limited time. What's it called? Console exclusive.
They already did that once.
They did that with Hades 2.
Well, I meant specifically.
Console
and then specifically Square. They already had that phase, and they said they weren't doing that anymore.
Oh no, they did that because PlayStation, Sony commissioned it from them because Square Enix had decided. We're not going to be a publisher anymore. So what happens if you want a game, you can help us and you can pay for it, and it'll be, And they did that with Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7. They were supposed to be console exclusive in perpetuity. But what happens is Square Enix found out we're going out of business. So they negotiated with Sony and they got out and made it a multi-platform game. I wonder if did Final Fantasy 7 ever come out on Switch?
They've been getting it ready for it. It hasn't come out on Switch 2 yet, but it has been confirmed.
Yeah, because Integrate just came out on Xbox.
Right. That would make sense for them to show off Final Fantasy 7 if they had it ready too.
Last news item: no possibility of an uncensored physical version of Dispatch on Switch. This comes to us from Eurogamer. Ad Hoc said there is no possibility of an uncensored physical version of its superhero workplace comedy Dispatch on Switch or Switch 2. Last week, fans were disappointed to discover Dispatch was heavily censored on Switch and Switch 2, with character nipples and penises covered with a black box by default, while noises of sexual pleasure were dampened down. Soon after Ad Hoc announced Dispatch was censored on Switch consoles, Nintendo released its own statement on the issue, saying the company, quote-unquote, requires all games on its platforms to receive ratings from independent organizations to meet our established content and platform guidelines. And despite this recent blip in public favor, Dispatch has been a huge success for Ad Hoc. Sold over 1 million copies in just 10 days following its initial release last year. Nintendo's a big fat hypocrite because all of their advertisements lately have been aimed at Gen X and millennials. All of them. Have you noticed this? They've been saying, hey, come back and, all featuring middle-aged adults being coaxed into doing to the Switch, just like Disney does sometimes. You know those Disney commercials in which the dad does, I don't want to go to Disney. I'm not going to have any fun. And by the end of the thing, he's like, oh, what? We're leaving already, but I want to stay. Same thing with Nintendo. Nintendo, you realize if you're advertising your console to adults, the adults want adult games too.
This really points out a very troubling situation, which is that, like, a factor of this story is that Cyberpunk 2077 is already released on Switch 2. What people don't know necessarily, like, in general, is that Cyberpunk 2077 has a different version in the Japanese market that's rated for censorship. It censors, like, hardcore parts of the game. And that was specifically...
Can you change your boob or cock size in that version?
Not in the Sero Z version of the game. That one is heavily censored for Japan audiences. And it brings up a very stark point about the Nintendo Switch 2, is that the guidelines that they have that they have to meet in Japan dictate that if a company such as Ad Hoc Studios doesn't have the money to make two different versions of their game, they're kind of fucked. They just kind of have to deal with what the Japan gives them and make a game that would satisfy worldwide ratings boards.
Gee, I wonder why the Nintendo Switch 2 hasn't sold as well as the Switch.
And it's like the Cyberpunk can do that because CD Projekt Red can do that because they have a lot of money to work with because they have been selling millions of games for years.
And all they have to do is release another The Witcher 4 and they can get back some more money.
So they have the money to be able to make the second version of Cyberpunk 2077 that has all the nudity and gratuitous violence that everybody wants. Ad Hoc doesn't. And that's going to be a thing that a lot of indie developers, I feel, are going to come up against, is do you have the means to make it? And obviously this only applies to games where violence is a factor, but it still creates a bottleneck that is very specific to the Nintendo Switch.
The thing is that if Nintendo wants popular games, they better, what if Ad Hoc said, well, you know what, we'll do it, but only if you give us the money to do it.
And I'm not even sure that it's not that Nintendo is to blame for those guidelines. It's that the Japan ratings board is super strict.
Oh, yeah?
But the fact of the matter is developers want to have their game on Switch because it does have a huge install base. And
that install base is shrinking.
But
no one's buying the Switch 2.
That's where we end up, though, is that you have a situation where if you want to have your game on Switch, you're going to have to think about whether or not you're just going to make a version of your game that appeals to worldwide ratings boards, or if you have the money to make a separate version. And that's troubling for indie developers specifically.
You know what? Like I said, the business people are running Nintendo this time around, and we're seeing what's happening with that.
It really sucks for indie developers to have to face that bottleneck and make that decision.
I don't know. At some point, indie developers are just going to say, is it worth it? No. If they really want it, they can come to me.
In many cases, I think they'll do what Dispatch did and just make the censored version and just hope it flies.
Yeah, but then you're telling people who have the Switch, Nintendo doesn't think you can handle adult content. We know you're 46, but tough.
Yeah. And that's a shame, but that's the decision they face. And I think that in the case of are we just going to skip this platform and skip the sales, or are we going to put out a censored version of our game?
But that's the question, isn't it? Who's gonna buy a Switch to play Elden Ring?
No one's going to buy a Switch to play Elden Ring, but they'll have
a Switch and wants to play Elden Ring on it if they already play it elsewhere.
Somebody that doesn't have those other systems.
I'm saying. You have a PlayStation, you have a Switch. You haven't played Elden Ring yet. Are you going to get it for the Switch or are you going to get it for the PlayStation?
I think if you have the Switch and you don't have those other things and you see that Elden Ring lands on the Switch, you'll probably give it a go. But
why?
Because
it's going to cost the same.
But we're talking about it. You're taking for granted the fact that not everybody has the money to afford all of the consoles nowadays.
Yeah, but they also have a PC and they could probably play it on there too. By the way, another thing that's sort of related is the MLB The Show 26 trailer dropped today, and people are laughing at it because graphics from the 2017 from MLB The Show on the PlayStation 3 look better.
Did you see that they're developing MLB The Show for Nintendo Switch, but not Nintendo Switch 2? Yeah. What do you make of that?
What I make of it is that the Switch user base is much bigger.
Yeah, but why would you make it so? I don't know.
It might be easier to just. Well, here's the thing: can't you play Switch 2 stuff on Switch games on the Switch 2?
You can.
There you go.
I guess that's true.
I mean, there are games that are being released on for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, but since both systems are 100% backwards compatible, what it tells me is that they're not going to spend time trying to make it look pretty. But they didn't make it look pretty for the PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, so
that's what I'm saying. Is that it feels like they're kind of wouldn't you want MLB The Show to be like the most cutting edge visual experience as far as a baseball game goes?
This is not Madden. The MLB deal has it that you can make a first party baseball game if you want to. So Microsoft and Nintendo are electing not to make a baseball game.
That's a real
with
shame.
A license,
That's a real shame since Nintendo straight up has a stake in the Seattle Mariners.
It's a real shame that Super Mega Baseball, the latest one, 4, was not very good.
Yeah. Didn't Didn't that studio also get like bought up by somebody else now?
No, Metalhead was working for EA. Yeah,
Okay.
they've been since number 3. And here's the thing: Pro Yaku baseball spirits is still being made in Japan. So at least they have a high quality second, made by Konami, but still. But yeah, and also you had RBI baseball that was published by MLB itself. Until MLB said our game is shit. Sony, just do multi-platform if you want that license. Not that Sony agreed. Oh, they're making us. Yeah, because everybody's not making money.
Yeah.
Microsoft announced that. Obsidian announced that Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2 did not perform as well as they wanted. And as a matter of fact, there's not going to be an Outer Worlds 3.
That's a shame. Outer Worlds 2 was pretty dang good.
And the one game that is kicking ass is Grounded 2. And they said that we're going to have games that have shorter turnaround times. Avowed was supposed to be a multiplayer game to begin with.
They also said that, like, Josh Sawyer said that releasing 3 games in a year was a mistake. Like,
here's the thing. It was a mistake in this day and age. Like I said, there's a crash going on.
Yeah. But that does suck. I love the Outer Worlds 2, and that's a dang shame that we might never see another, or at least not until they decide to rehash it again.
Well, you know what? We have Clockwork Revolution coming, so...
Sounds like we have more Pillars of Eternity coming too, though, because it sounded like they were still pretty... Yeah, that's one thing that they did bring up, is that they want to keep creating more Avowed and Pillars of Eternity stuff.
And it's not too hard to make an isometric RPG.
I really do want my Pillars of Eternity 3 that I really like.
Did you play Avowed yet, Scott?
I haven't, no.
Here's the thing I have to tell you about Avowed. You know the ending of Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire?
Yeah, you told me that.
It's directly related to Avowed, and if you want to know what happens after that, and if they can make a Pillars of Eternity 3, then Avowed is going to be a big hole in your lore.
Okay.
Because it is so inextricable from the ending of that game. It's all about what happened next. And your main character, his problems are directly related to what happened at the ending of that game.
Yeah. So, at the very least, good news for Scott is that
one of your companions is Garrus. So, in Avowed, same actor and same personality. You're just walking around with a blue fishman Garrus.
But yeah, at least good news for Scott is that they're not killing the pillar. They're keeping up the Pillars of Eternity series. They want to do more.
What they're basically saying is, some of these IPs are tired, and we want something that we can make a lot quicker. Because one of the things that killed them, that Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2 took a long time to make. Well, Grounded 2 was,
Yeah.
And here's the thing, Grounded 2 is
It was a side project. Like it was.
I'm trying to remember the term. I know it was a side project. No, what Fallout 76 is?
Oh, it's a survival sandbox.
No, it's Sony wanted to make 12 of them, and they found out they couldn't. Live service. Yeah, Grounded 2 is an anti-live service game. It acts like a live service game, but you're not emptying your wallet like a live service game.
Yeah, it's self-contained. It's a sandbox survival, and it has an ending. Yeah, it has a story. It has a follow-through plot, and you can
ignore and just I want to build my own place. Ride ants. And
Adam Brennecke is its director, and that guy is really creative.
Anyways, look for our show notes at gamingpodcast.net, along with industry news and our gaming history articles. If you enjoy feedback, so leave us comments on our blog at gamingpodcast.net. Also, to facebook.com/gamingpodcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave some iTunes comments. We'll probably be talking about the Nintendo Direct next week, so it'll be interesting to see what they unveil. And you can find me on Blue Sky at Jonah Falcon.
You can find me at Johnny Chugs.
You can find me at Charles the Sage.
And we will see you next week.
Happy gaming, everyone.
Have fun, be cool, play games, y'all.